All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 462 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast. Probably feels like it's been a while to some of you folks. Some of you folks who are not, supporting my efforts over at Patreon because I had to do two of them. I didn't have to, but I did two of them because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I did two Patreon episodes in a row because I screwed up and I got all out of sequence. I did two main network episodes in a row, mistakenly, because I don't know what I'm doing, because I'm a befuddled old man. That's right, befuddled. And anyway, so I did two to get caught up, to get back on track. I did two Patreon episodes in a row, and it was about some important stuff. The first one was about our trip to Philadelphia. Tony and I went to Philadelphia to see two baseball games. And to, do a few, we had plans to do a lot of stuff in Philly. Ended up doing less than I had pictured in my head. But we did go to two baseball games, two Phillies-Reds games. So there's a whole episode about that. That didn't go, I rated it a B-. That's a synopsis of that deal. And then the second episode was, the second Patreon episode, which is, what is this, 460? So episode 461 is, I tell you all about these plumbing problems that we had, which were horrific. All I can say is, I'm surprised that we didn't have shit coming out of the electrical outlets. The stuff that was going on for a day and a half. I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't poop oozing out of the electrical outlets in this house. It was it's what's known as Brown Sunday. That's what it'll be thought of in the future. That'll be what we'll refer to it as. Brown Sunday. Anyway. So those two episodes, I was making fun of those people on the poop cruise. I wasn't making fun of them. I was kind of laughing, having a laugh at their expense on that poop cruise show on Netflix, where people were stranded out in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico on a cruise ship with the power cut out, and they were crapping in bags and stuff. It's a documentary on Netflix. Fantastic. It's not supposed to be a comedy, but I was howling with laughter throughout. But anyway, so I was having a laugh at those poor people's expense. And then a few days later, I'm living it. My own personal poop cruise. So that was episode 461, available at patreon.com/JeffK. If you want to hear it, sign up. It's sitting there waiting for you, saying, please listen to me, please. Would you please? Okay, anyway. 461, and 460 was the Philly trip. So those are out there. All you have to do is sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation over at patreon.com. That's Patreon, patreon.com/JeffK. And it's you just sign up. It comes out every month. It's $4. You don't notice it because it's only $4. And that's nothing. $4 helps me a great deal, and you get a whole bunch of extra bonus episodes, including my own personal poop cruise. So do it today, patreon.com/JeffK. All right, anyway, so it probably feels like, if you're not on Patreon, it probably feels like I've been gone a while. I haven't been gone a while. I've been cranking out material. It's just been on the Patreon side because I'm befuddled. Anyway, I have a few things written down here. Let's see. A lot of them is about, I feel like I need to crank up the No New Jeffs again. I'm talking about being old. All this old stuff. I was thinking the other day, Do you remember, this is something, I don't know, you have to be really old to remember this, but do you remember when Dr. Pepper used to advertise, they're advertising, I don't know, what do you call it? They used to run ads urging people, telling people that they should be drinking Dr. Pepper at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m. every day. You should drink at least three Dr. Peppers every day to get your energy up. Because scientifically, studies have shown that people's energy levels dip at 10:30, 2:30, and 4:30 every day. So to stop the dip, you got to take a hit of Dr. Pepper with that with the pure cane sugar back in those days, and the caffeine boost, the caffeine load. So that was the advertising push. 10, 2, and 4. You're supposed to drink a Dr. Pepper at 10 a.m., which I don't know. That seems a little early. Isn't that a little early in the day for a Dr. Pepper? I don't know. It seems like 10, and they had commercials, and it'd be like 10, 2, and 4. All this shit, And the clocks. If you ever see like an old advertising, like an old Dr. Pepper clock, like if you're in a diner somewhere and they have these old, an old clock that's been there since like the 60s or 70s, notice on there. The 10, the 2, and the 4 are a different color than the rest of them on those old Dr. Pepper clocks. What the hell's that? You're supposed to drink 3 of those things a day? And we wonder why everybody's fat. That's the origin of it. Somebody posted a video from Charleston, West Virginia, which is where I'm from. Somebody I think it was 1981, somebody took a camcorder or whatever and just rode up and down the streets of Charleston, West Virginia, which is it's a city. It's a bustling. They just rode up and down the streets, and there's a whole bunch of people out on the sidewalks walking around shopping and stuff. There's not a fatty to be seen. Everybody's thin. What the hell? And now, if you go down, I bet you if you go down the same streets, well, first of all, there wouldn't be anybody walking around. I think only people go down there, people like work in offices down there, and they're down there in the daytime, but I don't know. It's not, back in the old days, back in the 80s, in the 70s and stuff, and before, there's a bunch of stores down there. There's a J.C. Penney down there. There's this big department store called the Diamond. There's a couple of record stores, all kinds of clothing stores. There's a Budget Tapes and Records down there for a while. National Record Mart. There's a bunch of stuff. So there's all kinds of bookstores, Major's bookstore, and all this stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff down there. And the streets in this video, it's just like full of people just walking, shopping and going. There was a big library down there. There's a McDonald's down there. It's all gone. Or most of it is. I don't know what the hell, but it looks nice down there. They took care of it. It's been maintained, or I don't know if it was maintained or is refurbished, but it looks pretty nice down there. But anyway, if you drive up and down that street, you're not going to see it. I guarantee you, there's going to be some Portleys. There's going to be some big old heifers walking up and down those things. And but not back in 1981. There's like hundreds of people out on the streets, and none of them were fat. None of them. And I guess it took a long time for that 10, 2, and 4 to kick in, because it took maybe a generation. But I think the origin of that is that. I think that's where it all started. I think they started getting people addicted to to sodies, as they call them. What are you drinking there? A sody? What is that? That's all. What is that? That's on. There's like some. There's some kind of YouTube video of that. But anyway, there's some. I don't know. I don't even remember what it was about. But anyway, People were drinking sodies at 10 a.m. God, that gets a little over the top. But you remember that? 10, 2, and 4? 10, 2, and 4. All right. And speaking of being old, Tony showed me this Reddit page. Keep having to hit pause and sneezing. I just went off on a 4 sneeze jag while I had it on pause. I don't know what the hell's going on. My nose is running too. It's some kind of like allergies, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, Tony showed me this Reddit page, the subreddit that she happened upon, and all it is people post cursive stuff written in cursive, and they can't read it, so they want people to tell them what it says. They want them to translate it. It's like a code now. Like young people. And it's not even, some of them, I don't know when they stopped. Our kids could read it. I mean, my kids are born in 96 and 98. And they were taught how to read and write cursive. When was it cut off? I mean, it's not even, it's like, I mean, our kids are pushing 30 at this point. But anybody below 25 was never exposed to it. And it looks like Arabic writing to them. They can't read it. They can't write it. I mean, they can't write that way. They sure as shit can't read it. Cursive writing. Isn't that bizarre? So there's a subreddit where people like have old notes and stuff, and people like my grandfather sent me this card in the mail. I have no idea what it says. They take a picture of it and put it on there, and people translate it for them. What the hell? Isn't that bizarre? How did that happen? I guess they're like, well, nobody writes it. Everybody just uses computers or phones and stuff, right? And we don't need cursive's old school, old fashioned for old people, old befuddled men and women. That's what it's for. We're not going to teach our kids that anymore. Now we're getting to the point where there's a whole world of people who write that way, and then a whole world of people that have no idea how to read it. It's crazy. Like, I don't understand it. And there's also another thing is like a clock, like an actual clock with clock hands. You know what I mean? Like that Dr. Pepper clock I was telling you about. If they looked up there, they would be like, what the hell's that? They don't even know what it is. They think it's just like some kind of design or something. Like they're never taught how to use like an actual clock. That's not taught either. People can't read that. Intelligent people in this world look at a clock, like the clock that I'm looking at right now, in here in the bunker, and they don't know what the hell that is. They think it's like some kind of design. It's just some kind of a, it's just like a doodad because it looks cool. That's what. Like, what the? Have you run into this? Have you run into this situation where people can't read cursive? I mean, they look at it, and you may as well be like a World War II code breaker. You know, that's what you are. It's like, what's this say, Pops? What do you mean, what does it say? It says, hello, darling. Congratulations on your graduation. You know? Like, I don't know what the hell. I can't read that. I don't know what that is. It's just a bunch of scribble. It looks like Arabic. Whew. I don't understand how things happen. But, whatever. And I just you got to embrace the change, I guess. I'm not a big fan of it. Speaking of that, the other day I got a message from my good pal Paul McCartney. You know, my good pal my good pal Paul McCartnney sent me a text, and it had an audio clip attached to it. And I was like, I don't know if I want to click on that. I don't trust this bastard. What the hell's this? I signed up for some kind of, when I saw him in Syracuse a couple years ago, it said send, like up on the screen before the show started, it said send Paul a text, stay in touch or something like that. So I sent, it had a telephone number. I sent him a text that said, "Hi, Paul," and he wrote back, "Hi, hey, how you doing? Which show are you at?" And I said, "Syracuse." He goes, "Oh, that's a good one." Hadn't even happened yet. But anyway, so anyway, I get texts from quote Paul McCartney all the time. Not all the time, but occasionally. And he sent me one the other day, and it had audio clip. It had like an audio clip attached to it, and I was like, "All right, I guess I'll trust Paul McCartney not to destroy my phone with some kind of like rampaging virus." But anyway, I clicked on it, and here it is.
Hey guys, Paul here. Listen, we're bringing our Got Back tour to North America, and we are very excited. It was so great to play the shows in New York at the Bowery, got us really going. So come along and see us. We'd love to see you because we are going to have one rocking, rollicking time. Let's go.
All right, so he's touring again, the United States. The guy's like 83. He's the same age as my parents. The guy's like 83 years old. And he does these long 2.5 hour, 3 hour shows where he's rocking it up. I mean, he's not up there just like standing there like Paul Simon with a giant guitar, with this huge guitar. You ever see Paul Simon? He's got like his guitar. You can just see his head popped up behind it, his legs sticking out. It's like a guitar with the top of Paul Simon's head sticking out and his legs underneath. Thing's huge. But anyway, that's not the way he does. He's like, he's running around. And I mean, he's like 83 years old. He's playing Helter Skelter, cranking it, playing like 30 songs, How's that happen? Although I think that guy, he's like a vegan, and he exercises. There's like pictures of him like standing on his head in his living room. I think he's like a health fanatic. At least he's not dyeing his hair jet black anymore. He's actually allowing it to be a little gray, since he's 83. But anyway, so he's going back out on tour in the United States. And the tickets, I don't know. I looked at the ticket prices, and they're outrageous. I mean, they're all these concerts, all these big tours are outrageous, right? And then you get all these people going, "Oh, never that's everything's completely out of hand. I will never pay those prices." All right, well, I don't know. I had trouble with it at the beginning too, but the problem is the whole music industry's upside down. Everything's changed, and you got to embrace the change, like the cursive. The fact that people can't read cursive and you become a World War II code breaker. And people are drinking Dr. Peppers at 10 a.m., getting fatter and shit, waddling down Capitol Street in Charleston. But you got to embrace the change. But anyway, like one of the first big show, one of the first of those big old giant expensive ass shows was that Tom Petty show. That was in 2017. It was like $250. I was like, what in the... Are you serious? My kid was wanting me to go. He goes, "We got to go to that." And I'm like, "I'm not paying that. There's no way. No way." I always say, I saw Queen for $11. That doesn't help me at all. Like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Pops. Yeah, I don't know what it was like back in the day. This is, it's 2017, But anyway, that was the first one. I went to that show, and it was $250. And then we saw the Rolling Stones in Pittsburgh. Expensive, somewhere in the same neighborhood. So I've been to a few of those shows. I went to see Paul McCartney in Syracuse. Expensive. All right, so we're talking in the 200s, all these tickets. 200 each. Anywhere between 200 and 300, So that was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, the Rolling Stones, and Paul McCartney. All were in that range, right? And then, but this tour, it's like $800, $1,500, $4,000. What the? He's playing smaller venues. $4,000, $10,000. Is this like what the hell? Like, who's going to go to these? It'll be sold out. I mean, it'll be sold out. I think tickets go on sale today. It'll be sold out by the end of the day. And some of the tickets apparently are like $10,000. What the? Smaller venues, but they're still big. I mean, in Pittsburgh, they're playing at the hockey stadium. I mean, this is not like it's not like he's doing club shows. So while I'm embracing the change a little bit, and I understand that the whole industry's upside down. It's not the same as it used to be. Back when they used to tour to promote the album, and they made all their money off the album. They're driving up album sales, and the tour was just a promotional part of it. There's no album sales anymore. That doesn't exist. There are no albums. They're albums, but they're on Spotify. They're on Apple Music. You're not going to the record store and buying a physical album. So that's all gone. So they don't. That was their main source of revenue. Musicians, all that's out the window. So now they release an album to promote the tour instead of the other way around, and that's where they make their money. They make their money on touring and selling merch. That's how they do it now. And whatever. I mean, I'm not happy about it either. I'd rather buy the album for $14 or whatever than having to spend $300 to see somebody. But whatever. Things change. 10, 2, and 4, baby. I don't know what that means. Things change. Embrace it. Quit bitching about it. But I'm not paying $10,000. Are you serious? What the hell? Is he like pushing the limits on this stuff? What the hell's going on? Anyway, thanks for staying in touch, Paul. I'm gonna have to skip this tour. I know you're 83, but no. Recently, I've been. I told Tony I'm becoming a full-blown philanthropist. Pretty much. I'm just very big into charities and stuff. Okay, let me explain. I went through McDonald's like 2 weeks ago, and they said your order is $8.84. Would you like to round up to $9 to help Ronald McDonald House? And I always say, not today. I always say that. Like, I don't know why. I have a chip on my shoulder. Like, I don't know about this. Where's this money going? I'm very, very skeptical about this whole thing. But that day I said, yeah, go ahead. I'll give you the 16 cents. Yeah. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm a philanthropist. I texted Tony and told her all about it. So I've turned over a new leaf into philanthropy. So I rounded up a couple times recently. Then I was in Sheets the other night. So I rounded up maybe like 3 times at various places. Everybody wants you to round up. I don't know what the hell's going on. There's a lot of rounding up. And but I was in Sheets the other night. I came. I worked. I was tired. I was irritated. I left there in an elevated state of agitation. And I stopped at Sheets to get the snack wraps. Things are fantastic. I love the snack wraps. But anyway, and the woman was like, "Would you like to round up for our charity drive?" Ha ha ha. I said, "No way." I said, "I've had enough of the rounding up." So I'm not rounding up anymore. I did it 3 times in the last. I said, everybody's wanting me to round up all the time, so no. She goes, okay, no problem. And she goes, but unfortunately, we're going to be asking every time for the next month. I said, the answer is going to be no. No rounding up. She was like, Jesus. But anyway, I was for a brief period, I was a philanthropist. But it burned out, burned hot, like a fireball in the sky. It burned really hot and real quick. It burned out real fast. I'm not I'm not rounding up everywhere I go. Do you round up? I don't know what the hell's going on. Every time I order a pizza, like every time I order a pizza from Domino's online, it's got a picture of some cancer child on there. It says, "Would you like to give me some money?" You know, can you 16 cents? Can you round up? Like, nah, hell with that. Like, what the hell? I don't know. I don't know. It's terrible, but too much rounding up. It felt good, I guess. 16 cents to Ronald McDonald House. I think one time I gave 11 cents. Walking around smoking cigars, feeling like a big shot, doing all this rounding up. Then it got to a point, it was like I crossed the threshold. I'm like, that's enough. No more rounding up. And then that poor girl at the Sheets got to hear all about it. She was probably like, this old codger. He probably writes in cursive. He's all befuddled. Let me take a hit off this bitch. That's some of that Sam's coffee. Member's Mark. That's what it is. Tomorrow, speaking of curmudgeonly old fart, tomorrow I have jury duty. Hopefully I won't have to go. I want to go. I do want to go. But I'm getting ready. I'm fixing to go on vacation. Me and the older boy are going to go to D.C. on Sunday. So I got a lot going on, and there's visitors at work. There's a lot of shit going on. It would be inconvenient if I have to go into that stupid jury duty tomorrow. I'm hoping when I call after 4 o'clock today, they'll say, "We don't need you. No. Thank you for your service. Tip of the hat," and move on. You know what I mean? But I have jury duty tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. And then we're leaving on Sunday morning to go to Washington, D.C. We're going to do some sightseeing. We're going to go full tourist. We're just going to embrace the tourist. And that'll be fun, And then shortly after that, we're going to West Virginia, me and Tony. So I don't know. There's a lot going on. It feels like there's nothing going on. Like we're not doing any big trips. We're not going to Myrtle Beach, which I don't know. I'm working on Tony on that. I think we need to add the traditional October trip to Myrtle Beach. Even if we do like a 3-nighter, like a quickie. Could fly down there, cost nothing, on Allegiant. We drive down to Allentown, park our car at the airport, jump on a plane. It costs very little. Then you got to rent a car, but still, we stay at our favorite place. The prices are low at that point. You could do it relatively cheaply, right? I'm working on it. But anyway, we don't have any big trips planned. We had the Philadelphia trip, which is just an overnighter, 2 baseball games, B-. I gave that trip, and then I got the Washington D.C. That's pretty big. That's going to cost me a lot of money. I'm a little worried about that part of it, and then West Virginia right behind it. And then there's a couple of concerts mixed in there. Elvis Costello singing the early songs. How cool is that going to be? Yeah, I love the early songs. That's the shit. Nick Lowe, one of my favorites. Legend. The Jesus of Cool. Nick the Knife. The Abominable Showman. The Impossible Bird. Basher. Guy has a lot of nicknames. Nick Lowe. What else? Viagra Boys. Got that coming up. Bought those tickets a year ago, it feels like. Feels like there's another one. Oh, Louis C.K. Hell yeah. So I got some shows. I got some things on the docket. But no big trips. No Myrtle Beach. No Florida. No, nothing like that. So anyway. I can't remember what the point I was making. But anyway, I got that stuff coming up. And I'll be out all next week. I'll be back in town on Thursday, late Thursday. Maybe I'll try to record an episode on Friday. Try not to be gone too long. But I will be out of town next week, most of the week. Going to see a baseball game, be another baseball stadium down. Go to the White House if they'll let us in. We'll probably walk up and they'll go, no. I mean, I know you have a pass, and I know we're not letting you in here. I don't know why they would do that, but I don't know. It feels weird that they're letting me in there. I mean, it's not like I'm going to, it's just, I don't know. Am I qualified to be in the White House? I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, that's what we got going on. I do have a number of telephone calls came in, and let's get to those now. This first one's from our old pal Jason in Austin. Here it is.
Hey Jeff, it's Jason in Austin, Texas. I passed a car like the one my mom used to drive when I was a little kid just a minute ago, and it brought to mind an incident we had at the grocery store. So me and my brother and mom went to the grocery store. She had a Ford LTD. It was huge, man. 4 doors, yellow, banana yellow, just a straight out of the Ugly Book car. So anyway, we go in there to do our groceries. We come out. She always gave me, it was in the days of 2 keys, right? One of them was square and one of them was round. I think the round one opened the door and then the square one started the engine. So she would give me one of them, hand it to me to open the door, and unlocked it. We loaded our groceries in. I hopped in the front, my brother in the back, and then we took off. And we got about 3 blocks up the road, and I was playing with this hula doll that was stuck to the dash, like making it dance, And my mom just slammed on the brakes and said, "What in the fuck? This is not my car." The ashtray's full of like potpourri and shit. Mom was a heavy smoker. So we got in someone else's car, started it up and drove it off. We drove it back real quick to the grocery store, and parked it next to our car, which was at the other end of the parking lot. So whenever this lady came out, it had to be confusing as shit because her car was nowhere near where she left it. But anyway, back in the day, they apparently didn't use that many different key combinations or something. I don't know, but these keys worked in this other person's car, and it just reminded me of that. Had another incident in that same parking lot when we were a little older, maybe 10 years old or something like that. We came out late. Me and my brother and mom and some guy starts following us around the parking lot as she's driving around, and he's like trying to catch up to us. And she said, "No, thank you, no, thank you." And he happened to be a black guy. So she's like circling, and this guy's starting to scare her, basically. She's like trying to dodge him, and he's trying like hell to chase her down. And we're in the car going, what the hell? What does he want? What does he want? And she said, "I don't know." And he didn't look, I don't know if homeless was not such a thing in the late 70s or what, but he looked like he was a ne'er-do-well sort of fella, hadn't had a haircut in a while and that kind of thing, right? But anyway, the reason the guy was following us around is because he had one of her hubcaps. It had come off. He was just trying to help. But we give her shit about it for the rest of her life, that because he was black, she was like speeding away from him. Anyway, thanks, man. Bye.
I think that was 2 calls squeezed into one because it got cut off. But anyway, so that first part about the you got in the wrong car and you're actually driving it, and the thing had a hula dancer on, on the dashboard. I've done that. I mean, I've never actually gotten in a car. But I've walked up to my car, because I drive a generic Honda SUV, and it's like gray. There's 1,000 of them. Every parking lot, there's probably like 5, 6 of them. Or cars, vehicles that look very similar. So I've walked up to a car and like looked down in there, and it's like there's all kinds of shit in there. It's trashed out. The whole passenger seat's just full of crap. I'm like, whoa, that's not my car, And you feel weird about it. I never actually got in one and drove away. That's crazy. It's hilarious. It sounds right, though. I think the 70s, they probably had like 5 different keys. You know? It's pretty much what they did probably back in those days. But that's classic. I don't know what I'd do. I'd feel weird about that. But the other part about the guy chasing you through the parking lot and your mother's trying to get away from him, and you think it's because he was black. That's hilarious. Sounds right. It sounds about right, though. I could see that happening. The guy's a ne'er-do-well. You said he looked like a ne'er-do-well. That's hilarious. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'd give my parents grief about. So you're only running from him because he's black, you know? No. It was a man that was seeming to be very aggressive, a black man. No, hang on a second. Just a man, any man. It doesn't. I hear you. Sounds like the kind of stuff that goes on in my life. This next call. Thanks for the call, Jason. As always, great call. This next call is from Erin, and here it is.
Hey, Jeff. This is Erin from Michigan. Your recent podcast, we were talking about weird sayings. Reminded me I was going to call a while back when you had an episode where you talked about your zine that you used to have and how people found you. So I thought about how I found the website, and I remembered that back in about 2008, I had a friend who's from Charleston, West Virginia, and she used to kind of flippantly refer to it as West by God, Virginia, or just West by God. And one day I wondered if that was a thing people said or if she just made that up. So I Googled it, and I think on the first results page, West Virginia Surf Report came up, and of course the name got me, so I clicked on it, and I've been around ever since. And so now my question is that a thing people say, or did she just make that up? Because I still don't know. I really appreciate the podcast, especially when I'm working nights. Makes me laugh. So thank you for the entertainment. Bye.
Yeah, as you were telling me that, you said, okay, you have a friend that refers to West Virginia as West by God, Virginia, or West by God. And then you said that you were searching for that phrase, and you came upon the name of the West Virginia Surfboard on the first page, I might add. That was back in the glory days. I guarantee if you did that search right now, my website would not be on the first page of the Google search. Probably be on page 52 or something. That was back in the glory days. But anyway, what are we talking about? Oh, I thought you were going to say you found an article that I wrote, like a blog post that I wrote, where I was bitching about people that say West by God, because I don't know, that bugs me. I don't like it. Yes, people do say that all the time. I mean, I think it was originally somebody said it, probably some hick, I don't know, said it like sincerely. People used to say it sincerely, and then it became ironic. And that's where it turned ironic. And the whole thing bugs me. I don't like it. I don't know what the hell. I don't know. For some reason, it just bugs me. But yes, it's a phrase that people use. A lot of people. And West by God. Not a fan. But I'm glad it led you to the website, and I'm glad that you're sticking in there, Erin, sticking with me on the podcast and all that. I appreciate it. I like the night shift. I work the night shift too. People of the night. We're the night creatures. I love that. I'm a night shifter all my life, pretty much. So I'm glad that you're listening to the podcast, and I appreciate you sticking with me all these years. Not a fan of West by God, but people say it. It is a phrase that's in common usage. It's ironic, I think. I think that's the root of it. Yeah, not a fan. Anyway, thanks, Erin, for calling, and thanks for listening. This next call is from our old pal Susan. Here it is.
Hi, Jeff. This is Susan down here in Maryland again. You know, you were talking about those carnivals with the freak shows. It reminded me so much of my dad because grew up down there in the hills of North Carolina, born 1928, so this must have been the late 30s through the 40s. Talked about these traveling sideshows with bearded women, snakes, chickens, people cutting the heads off. I mean, it fascinated us as kids. So it was a fond memory of my dad telling us stories when we were little kids. Late 50s, early 60s must have been when he was telling us this. The other thing is, this is back to your procedure. I guess it was, oh my God, time goes so fast. Last fall, the colonoscopy. You know, the older I get, we call it the medical hamster wheel. You go in for one appointment, even a checkup, whatever, just something normal. And you walk out with 2 blood works, urinalysis, the MRI, a CAT scan, and an X-ray. What the heck? Are we keeping them in business? Unbelievable. And then the patient is the one that has to coordinate all the analysis and diagnosis. I just don't get it. I'm at wit's end with this medical system. But anyway, good luck with that, and stay cool. I was empathizing with you with the heat. So maybe we'll get a break soon. All right, take care. I kind of screwed up getting through to you. I've forgotten that the preliminary Google Voice. Anyway, have fun. Bye.
Yeah, my dad, can you imagine going to an old like a carnival back in the 50s and 40s and stuff, even in the 60s? Where there's no regulations. People don't give a crap, you know? They just like exploit. Like that Ika that my dad was telling about. There's a woman laying in a dirt pit in a mud hole with snakes all around her. And she's like, her hair's all messed up. She's dirty. She looks like she's like a lunatic. Like she's an escapee from the asylum, and she's in a mud hole with rats and snakes, and she just like bites the head off a snake and chews it up. This is what he saw when he was like 12 years old. He's never forgotten it. He's still scarred to this day. He's 83. He and Paul are 83. And anyway, can you imagine how fun that would be? I mean, I don't know. There'd probably be some disturbing shit, but it'd be fun. You know, it'd be something you'd never forget. I bet you that thing ran wide open back in those days. That would be so much fun. The ones I saw, like in the 70s, lame, terrible. By the 70s, I think they had it all watered down. People were like, you can't exploit these poor people. Ruin everything. Just ruin it all. You take a hit off this bitch. I was like, they ruin everything. Nah, kind of kidding. I mean, I'd feel guilty about some of it, but some of it I wouldn't. I don't know. It depends on what it was. But the ones I saw, there's this guy had a board that had like 1,000 nails nailed through it. You know, and the nails were so close together, it was almost like a solid sheet of metal. The guy laid down on it like that was supposed to be something, you know. Like, I could lay down on that. That's just metal, you know. That's like, the hell's that, you know. I don't even remember anything beyond that. I just remember that. I remember some guy with a cigarette behind his ear doing something. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know. I don't remember. There wasn't much. I didn't get to see much. Unfortunately, I came too late, born too late to see all the good stuff. But I appreciate that. Yeah, the medical hamster wheel, as you call it, I worry about that every time I go to the doctor. Okay, you go in there like that. I mean, I went in there, I thought I had bronchitis. I think I went in there because I thought I had bronchitis. I didn't even have bronchitis. Next thing I know, months have gone by. I've had so many tests, and I've had so much blood work done. I got my ass probed. I'm in there, naked from the waist down. There's like a baker's dozen nurses walking around. My butt cheeks are hanging out the back. They're like feeding a hose up there. Like, how did this happen? I thought I had bronchitis. Like, one thing leads to another, to another, to another. Sucks. I think I have a doctor's appointment coming up soon. My yearly. I think it was a 6 month. It was a 6 month follow-up. Hopefully the hamster wheel come to a screeching stop for a while. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you're saying. And it's another thing when you get old. When you're old and befuddled, and you remember the 10, 2, and 4. All right, enough of that. Thanks for the call, Susan, and thanks for calling back and telling me that my personal telephone number is out there on the internet. How's this happened? I don't know. I gotta investigate that. Whatever. If you call me and you're not my contacts, I'm not answering. So it's not really gonna hurt me all that much. But I probably should investigate that. I don't know. Whatever. Thanks, Susan. I appreciate it. And this last one, I don't know what the hell this is. Hang on a second. I'll just play it. All right, here you go.
Hey, Bajeppa, keep my motherfucking name out of your mouth, Hey, bitch.
What the hell's that? I think that's because one of the recent episodes at the beginning when I do the little intro, I was like, I don't know what the hell's going on with me that day. I was like, the podcast. Welcome to the I was like, I turned into like that guy from Fat Albert that talks like I was like going into some kind of like Bing Crosby thing. Well, Anyway. I think that's what that was. I think somebody's trying to imitate that guy from Fat Albert. But I don't know what the hell. I don't know who it is. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's a little disturbing. Kind of a little bit like that. I don't know. Kind of reminded me of that Revolution Number 9, Revolution 9 from the Beatles. Had a little bit of that vibe to it. You ever hear that thing, Revolution 9, on the White Album? When we were kids, we were like teenagers, and we were at Steve's house, and he played that thing. And it's like this 8-minute sound collage that John Lennon put together. This shit's weird. It should have never even been released. To tell you, the thing sucks. Like, I don't understand the point of it. That's artsy-fartsy bullshit. That White Album is perfect, except for that. That's like a big ass zit on it's like a beautiful work of art, like a supermodel, a perfect supermodel with a giant ass zit. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but anyway, that thing's that should have never been on there, but it's John Lennon. John's like, nah, it's got to be on there. Anyway, that thing's like weird, and we were listening to it. He was blasting it in his room, and Rocky was over there, our friend Rocky, and he goes, what the hell? I don't even want to walk home. It was like dark. He goes, I'm afraid to walk home now. Thing's freaking him out. Anyway, it had a little bit of a Revolution 9 vibe to it, whoever called in. And anyway, that's that. So thank you guys for calling in. I appreciate it. That's Jason, Erin, Susan, and whoever that last one was. I do appreciate it. And if you want to call in, the rest of you, you can do it by calling the hotline 570-290-8151. Don't call my personal phone. Not answering. Call this number, 570-290-8151. It's Google Voice. It's voicemail. You got 3 minutes, and then you'll get cut off. There's a 3-minute limit to your message. So give me a call. If you have questions, you have stories to tell, you have anything, whatever's on your mind, you can do it today or you can do it tonight. You can do it tomorrow. You can have a few pops. You can have a Dr. Pepper, get yourself all sugared up. 570-290-8151. Also, if you want 2 episodes a week, things all screwed up right now, but generally it's two episodes a week instead of a measly 1. You can do that by heading to patreon.com. It's Patreon, patreon.com/Jeff K. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation, and you'll get an extra episode, and you get a whole bunch of extra episodes that have already been recorded. It's there's over 200 bonus episodes in there that you can access today, right now, immediately, over at patreon.com/Jeff K. And you get to hear the poop cruise, my own personal poop cruise, and you get to hear the trip to Philly stories. So do that today. Patreon.com/Jeff K. And surfreportpod.com is the web home of the podcast. Check that out as well. And we're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. I appreciate it. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon side, hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye.